Have you ever felt like you were being lied to? So, following the disaster of Halloween 3 and the really harsh critics that it received, the series was put on a 7-year halt. So there was nothing for a while. People thought, okay, well, I guess that's it. But the fans that demanded for years, for 7 years, demanded that Michael Myers return to the big screen. That's exactly what we got. So it was finally announced, yes, the Shape is coming back, and everyone went mental. And there were so many rumors building up to this that John Carpenter put forward a storyline if he was going to direct it, which was going to be basically the town living in, some kind of just living in terror, and start maybe getting violent, and there's a ghost of Michael in the background, but he would only be a ghost, maybe of like a fragment of their imagination, and kind of what would turn them nuts. Kind of what we got in Halloween Ends, but a bit different. But that was rejected. So because the production wanted an actual slasher movie. So that's what they did. That's what we got. Halloween, the return of Michael Myers. The Shape. And I watched this years ago when I was younger. And I remember I was never scared of it. I was never like, oh my god. But I remember really enjoying it. I remember I was entertained. I was fascinated. Curious about the mask. We'll get into that. But overall, I remember enjoying it. So when I've rewatched it, after years, I haven't seen this in years, I genuinely enjoyed it. I enjoyed every character that was in it. The performance was great. Donald Pleasence returned, which always loved seeing that man. Just his presence is just so it's so powerful, man. He's a legend. Rest in peace, sir. But you don't get Jamie Lee Curtis at this point. She was asked to return for this movie, but at this point she was a huge success in terms of acting. She in 1983 she got huge success from Trading Places, and then in 1988, which is the year this movie came out, she was doing A Fish Called Wanda. So she was just out there enjoying success, so she didn't want to come back, so which is fair. So the story takes on, it begins with Michael somehow still alive from being blown up and set on fire. Is basically being transferred from one psychiatric hospital to another one, to Smith's Grove. And of course, it's not going to go smoothly. He's lying in the hospital in the ambulance, and he overhears the doctors talking about that does he have any next of kin? Well, he does have a niece that lives in Haddonfield. And then boom, you see the hand clenching, and that's whenever his murder spree starts. You get that awesome iconic shot of him like putting a thumb into the doctor's forehead, and just fucking awesome stuff. Awesome kills. So he's officially back out. He's on the rampage, and it follows his niece, which is a little girl called Jamie Lloyd, played by the wonderful Danielle Harris, who does a wonderful job for her age, especially. And you have her sister Rachel, who's played by Ellie Cornell, I think her name is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but awesome. Like I said, there isn't a single bad actor in this movie. They're all great. The atmosphere, for me, felt the most Halloween. And I don't mean the franchise, like, I'm talking about the actual season of Halloween. It felt just the decorations, the music, the everything, just the entire atmosphere. They really did do a great job of balancing all of that out. So there's that. There's a very brief look of Michael that's very different compared to his iconic white mask and, mechanics suit, which is where he has bandages around his face. Which I personally think, especially looking at the state of the mask in this movie, I would have been very happy to have him in a bandage throughout the whole movie. I think it would have been different. It would have been really cool. Fuck, that's Michael Myers. Holy shit! It would have been really awesome. But they didn't. But it was cool to see him briefly. You had that iconic moment with Dr. Loomis in the garage, and he comes face to face with Michael after 10 years. The movie takes place 7 years after Halloween 2, but in the story, it takes place 10 years after the events of the second one. So 10 years after seeing him, when you see Michael in the mechanic's outfit, but still bandaged, it was such a cool look. And it was just, they have that awesome panning shot. Just amazing stuff. And, I know there were... the mask, if we're going to get into it, there are some shots in this movie where the mask just looks really bad. It looks ridiculous, it's laughable. But then there's also shots where the mask actually looks good. And it's primarily whenever he's in the right shadow, whenever he's in the right lighting. Like the scene, whenever he's at the top of the stairs in the school. He looks fucking awesome. He looks great, he looks scary. But when you have a scene where it's kind of lit up, say whenever poor Bucky, he had a great mustache, got thrown into the electric box and everything, and all the electric was going around, so it was very bright. When they showed Michael, it looked bad because of how bright it was. I don't think it's a mask that should have been seen in any form of light, because it showed the flaws of it, and it should have been kept in the shadows where they could have made it more effective. And I think it would have been scarier had they have kept the mask just in the shadows, like that stair scene, or the scene whenever he walks up into the attic, before he grabs the knife. He looks cool in that shot too. So, and there's even a really brief scene where Michael the mask is pink and he has blonde hair. I remember as a kid that confused the shit out of me. I was like, what? And then he went back to the white mask and black hair or brown hair, and I was like, what? And I'm like, how did that remain in the movie? How did they not watch it back and say, oh wait, this isn't right, listen, we have to take that out before we release this. Somehow they released it with that still in it. There's a couple of other things they left in this movie that were supposed to be taken out, and there were reshoots. Like the funny story of Donald Pleasence. Because his character was blown up at the end of the second movie, he has now burn scars on his face and his hand. And the first attempt, he was his girlfriend at the time, just watching him, while he was acting and everything, and then she came face to face with him after the shot was done, and she says, "You have a boiled egg. It looks like you have a fried egg in your face." Because like this, that's how it looked. It was really, and I can totally understand So Donald Pleasence immediately went to the crew and said, "Change that. It looks like a fucking egg. Change it." So they did change it, and they did some reshoots, and that's the reshot version. It does look way better, way better. But if you watch the movie, you are going to see scenes with the first makeup look still in the movie, so you're still going to see that. He must have made an error while editing, or maybe they just didn't catch it, or maybe they were in a hurry, but it was awesome. It was an awesome little story. I thought I always get a giggle out of that. But the whole concept of Michael Myers trying to kill a little girl, a child, it's so much more refreshing than what we had in the original Halloween and Halloween 2. It's different. It's not. I'm glad Jamie Lee Curtis didn't come back for this, because it would have been the same thing, rinse and repeat. But I'm glad. I'm happy that she didn't come back and we took a different approach. And this is evidence. This is proof that the Halloween series can take different paths and not handcuff it to Jamie Lee Curtis. We can take a different approach, a different perspective of Halloween and Michael. So we've already seen the evidence that it can work. But yeah, so the whole atmosphere is amazing. The music is phenomenal. That's the second that iconic Halloween theme kicks in, whenever the nurse checks his blood pressure and she says, "Right, let's move him," and then boom, and it kicks in. I mean, yeah, I was just chilled the fuck out. I had goosebumps everywhere, and I was fucking pumped. Oh, so good. And it holds up so well today. That's the most important thing. It does hold up. It's got great kills. And I think they did listen to the feedback from what people were saying about Halloween 2. It was a bit too gruesome, too much blood, and it was trying to be Friday the 13th now. And I think they took that on board and said, okay, we need to focus more on tense, the suspensity. Suspensity, is that a word? Fuck it, it is now. The scares, the horror aspect of it. And they did, and it works. This one feels much more like the original Halloween than Halloween 2 did. And that's just my opinion, but that's a good thing now. So they did a phenomenal job just bringing this whole thing back and back to the roots. Okay, the Silver Shamrock didn't work. Let's bring Michael back, and they did it, and they did it successfully, because this was a huge success. This movie, it had an awesome feedback, and the fans were joyous. Michael Myers finally returned to the screen, and the legendary Donald Pleasence, Dr. Loomis. But unfortunately, after this movie, that took the franchise on the biggest high, reputation-wise and financial, it unfortunately takes a huge dive after this movie in terms of quality and everything with the next sequels that come after this. I kind of wish they had the balls to either end with this movie and say, all right, that's it. You wanted to shape back, he came back, that's it. A one and done. And especially with the iconic ending of this movie. And spoilers, if you haven't watched it, and if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. See that legendary ending. Still gives me goosebumps. Then come back to this. But oh man, that ending is still gives me vibes. It still gives goosebumps, chills, and it's just a very unexpected way to end this movie. Whenever I first watched it, I was so confused when I was a kid. I was like, "What? Wait, what?" I was even asking whoever was in the room with me at the time when the credits were up, "What happened? What? No, but." But oh, it was such a fucking badass ending, and such a ballsy way to end a movie like this. That's what I admire. I admire the balls. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, the kills are awesome. There's an awesome shot. What was that? There was a cool kill in this where he had a shotgun. He pointed it at the girl, and your first initial thought is he's gonna shoot her. Nope. just straight through the wall with her. Awesome kills, and Brady, a cheating son of a bitch. His death was brutal. But yeah, 100%. I would absolutely recommend watching this movie. And I'll get into the spoilers now, but the ending, as I said, whenever Michael's finally defeated, he's been shot to shit by all the state police and all of the rednecks and everybody. He falls down into the mine chute and everything collapses on him, basically putting him into a grave in essence. So you think everything's over. Even Dr. Loomis said it. Yep, Michael Myers is in hell, buried where he belongs. And everything seems okay. It's over, finally. And the stepmom, or the foster mom, takes Jamie up, for a bath. And then suddenly you have the iconic shot that was in the original Halloween at the very beginning. Where there's like a mask and you're walking around. So you're like, oh, who's this? Does Michael somehow come back? What? You see this hand grabbing scissors, then going into the foster mom while she's like, checking the temperature of the bath or whatever. Then you just hear this blood-curdling scream from the foster mom. And Dr. Loomis just runs to the bottom of the stairs, looks up, and you have that legendary shot of Jamie just standing there holding the scissors, blood all down her arm. And Dr. Loomis's heartbreaking screams of, here we go again, I can't do this shit anymore. But it's such a legendary way to end this movie. And I wish they had the balls in Halloween 5, which they felt was necessary. It should not have been a Halloween 5. But if they felt necessary to make a Halloween 5, I wish they had the balls to carry that on. Like, you imagine Jamie being the next killer. It would kind of show. I get it, maybe they thought it was safer to bring Michael back because they didn't want to get the same backlash that Halloween 3 got. No, Michael, this movie's garbage. So maybe they were afraid to take that approach. But why end it like this if you didn't want to go forward like that? Maybe they thought, we'll end it like this, and that'll be the end of the franchise, which would have been a great ending. It would have been ballsy, it would have been holy shit. And it would have left you wondering, what happened next? So she's the new Michael? What? So many awesome questions, but then 5 had to retcon it and ballsed it up. So, fuck, I have to watch Halloween 5. Shit! Oh god. The joys. But yeah, so Halloween 4, awesome movie. And also, fun fact, this is the first movie to have Michael Myers actually credited as Michael Myers instead of the shape in the credits. Fun fact. But yeah, guys, totally check this out. Recommend it. The full movie is on YouTube, so you can even just watch it there. It's a full movie. Why not? So yeah, let me know in the comments. What did you think of this movie? Did you enjoy Halloween 4? Did you think it was the best? Let me know. And what did you think of that ending? Without spoiling it. What am I talking about? I've already spoiled it. Yes, talk about the spoilers. Because I've already done, so fuck it. What the fuck I'm talking about? Ignore me! I'm just old. Back in my day. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys thought about the movie. Thanks for watching. I wholeheartedly appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you. And, well, you know the score. Don't kill anyone.